Psych. I lied. Okay, we're going to do one more. I think it'll just make a little more sense if we look at maybe some different ones. So I'm going to grab maybe Ramfire and break down what Ramfire does in there in this bot. Okay, so Ramfire extends robot, and then we're going to create an integer called turn direction and set it equal to 1, and they've made a note here that this represents clockwise or counterclockwise. So a 1 is clockwise and a 2 is counterclockwise. Is that what we're looking at? Where do we use that? Oh, 1 or negative 1. Okay, so 1 is clockwise, negative 1 is counterclockwise. So in the run method, they go ahead and set the body color, the gun color, the radar color, and then while true, they turn right 5 times the turn direction. So in this case, it's 5 times 1 initially. So 5 times 1. Now remember, this is a class level variable, which means all the methods inside this this bot can see this. So 5 times 1 is going to give us 5. So it's going to turn right 5. And then it's going to turn right 5 again. Then it's going to turn right 5 again until we scan a robot or another event happens. So when we scan a robot, a scanned robot event is created for us. It's passed to us. We store it in E. And then we say, go out to that E and get the bearing. If the bearing is greater than or equal to 0, then we want to have the turn direction be 1 because that means it's clockwise. Okay, else we want to change our turn direction to negative 1. So now, let's say it was less than 0. Its bearing relative to our heading was less than 0, meaning it's off to the left somewhere. Then we set turn direction equal to a negative 1, which means we're now going to turn negative 5. We're turning right negative 5, which is turning left 5. So we're basically going to be turning always toward the robot that we've just scanned. After we set the turn direction, we are going to turn right to E.getBearing, which means we're turning right to the bearing of the robot we just scanned. Right? And then we go ahead E.getDistance plus 5. So how far are they away from us? E referring to that snapshot. How far was the distance? And then add 5 to that so that we can run right into them. And then immediately scan again to see if there's still a robot in front of us. If there is, we're going to do the same process. We're going to turn right to the bearing, go ahead the distance plus 5, and then scan again. If we hit a robot in that process, then if the bearing of that robot is greater than or equal to 0, then we're going to do the same process of setting the turn direction to be 1 or negative 1, clockwise or counterclockwise. And then we turn right to the bearing of the robot. Okay? If the energy of the robot that was scanned, so we just hit a robot, and it wasn't even scanned, sorry, I didn't say that right. If we hit a robot, then we get this hit robot event generated that takes a snapshot of that event, of all these factors going on in that event. What was the speed? What was the distance? What was the, well, I guess if you hit it, the distance is 0. What was the bearing? What was the energy of that robot? It takes all that information, compiles it together, and hands it to us in one hit robot event object that we're going to call E. So if E.getEnergy, if the energy of that robot is greater than 16, then we're going to fire with a power of 3. If the energy is less than 16 but greater than 10, we're using else-if statements here, so these are all tied together. If it's greater than 16, but if it's less than 16 but greater than 10, then we're going to fire with a power of 2. Else, if the energy is greater than 4, fire with a power of 1. Else, if the energy is greater than 2, fire with 0.5. Else, if the energy is greater than 0.4, fire with a power of 0.1. So notice what it's doing here. We're going to determine a shot that won't kill the robot. He doesn't want to kill the robot with a shot. He wants to kill him with a ram for bonus points. And so we might fire, and then once we've fired, to take his energy down as much as possible without killing him, then we're going to go ahead 40 and ram him to hopefully put him out of his misery. All right, and that's what happens on the on-hit robot event. And so, you know, a pretty small bot, not overly complicated, but for what it does, when you watch it work, do I still have ram fire in there? I don't. Let me put ram fire in quick. And I'll pull out target. Start that battle. And as we watch ramfire work, we're getting a lot of ramming there. And we see that ramming is not the most effective way of, if you just live and die by the ram, you're going to ram yourself right into death. But ramfire just did a number on me. I mean, if ramfire gets you, you know, in the corner, or, you know, just look out, because it's pretty deadly. But it's making a determination here. We can't see it because it happens so quickly. What can I shoot this guy with that's not going to kill him? I'm going to shoot, and then ram him. And if we run this, as ineffective as it might be in terms of first place, second place, all that kind of stuff, you notice that Rambot gets a lot of points from damage that he's dished out. And then a bonus for destroying bots with a ram. So anyway, that's just another bot that I thought I'd break down. Hopefully when you see these bots being break down like this, you're getting ideas of things that you could do with your bot to make it better. So to add elements of Rambot and elements of corners and whatever it is to try to build the most superior bot you can. All right. Well, hopefully that's helpful. Spencer out.